All right, everybody, welcome to episode 171 of the Followtonians. Eric here in Lawrence, Kansas. No, I'm not in Lawrence, Kansas anymore. That's way a long time ago. Overland Park,
Ha!
Kansas. Ha ha. And Ped in Old Swan. Well, he's not really in Old Swan. He's like in some other place. He wants to sound like he's in Old Swan because that's pretty cool, but he's not really there. He's somewhere else. We don't know where he's at. He's in like some other part of Liverpool, but we won't tell you where. How's it going, Ped?
Okay, are you on meds?
Yes, meds. Lots of them. Yes.
It does sound like you're on meds.
I'm on all the meds. Every meds, all of them,
All,
everything.
all of them,
All
every
of them.
color.
Yes, reds, blues. Well, no reds. We don't like reds. Blues, lots of blues. All the blues pills I can get.
You actually sound to scare me. You do sound very frantic. It is a little bit worrying. It's a little bit disconcerting.
Well, I figured I'd just try and get everything done in the first half of the show and then just kind of relax.
Do you know what you sound like? You sound like Wayne Knight in Jurassic Park. When he's like reboots the system and then like wants to get off.
I'm sweating
I
about
know
as much as he is right now.
I know John Hammond died this week, but this is no way to have a tribute, and I'm certainly not playing the part of Samuel L. Jackson. Oh, no, Eric, I refuse.
Oh, that's too bad. Because I think it's really kind of funny.
What's scaring me is you're not pretending, though. You are generally frantic,
I,
and
I am I'm very much frantic. It's kind of
I'm a
like
little,
just end in defense.
I'm a little bit worried. I'm a
I,
little bit worried. I'm gonna have to call Tracy on the other line, Eric, because he's starting to scare me now.
well, at least yeah, but it's it's yeah, well but it's kind of fun. I like it a lot. So uh the, yeah,
Yeah, I'm worried.
you shouldn't
I'm
be.
scared.
You
I'm
shouldn't be
scared.
worried.
The main thing is, did you press record?
I
That's the main thing.
let me yes, yeah, absolutely. I definitely press record. It's recording. So everything's good. We're fine. I've rebooted and we're doing okay. All
Good.
systems go.
Goal systems go. That's the main thing. That is the main thing.
Except for the electric fence around the Raptors. Those are not going to work for
Well,
some reason.
they've been testing defense periodically, so they're just
They,
waiting for that weakness.
I think the weakness is Distan, unfortunately, and defense is our defense. Wow.
I'm I'm starting to think the weakness is you, Eric. I'm starting to think
No,
the weakness is you.
no, there is no weakness here. I
You
go from
do
strength to strength.
you do to appear to be strength as Annex by the sounds of it.
It's full strength,
Yeah, that's what you're taking anyway.
something like that.
I digress.
You should.
Let's talk about football, Eric.
Okay, well, can we at least just talk about the first half? Because
If
the
that's what
second
it's.
the second half, or at least like the last, about 20 minutes of matches, or maybe no, more like the last 8 minutes of match, more like the last 6 minutes of matches have just really not been so great this year.
Yeah, it's generally annoying, isn't it?
It is. Lineup looked great. The lineup was fantastic. You see Morales coming in for McGeady. You see Coleman coming in for Stones. Everything looks like it's on track, looking good. Um, and the first half started out fantastic. Lots of possession. We're passing the ball all over the pitch, not freaking out, no long balls, just playing simple. Um, if you get into a corner, you find the easy pass out back to Barry or McCarthy, and everything's good. Just just keep possession.
But yeah, I mean, to be honest, it didn't start that well. It started quite slow. It felt very similar to last season, and the tactics were very similar. I mean, because it's only 4 or 5 months ago since we last played them and we beat them. So the tactics were very, very similar. Lukaku out a little bit onto the right, Naismith pushing down the middle, Morelos put on the left. we got that early injury again. Pinar this time going off with a groin injury. Last time it was Leon Osman. This time it was Leon Osman coming on.
Right.
And we had to deal with Arsenal having a lot of the ball the first 15 minutes, and we played counter-attacking football. And we worked our way into the game, and we're the ones who took the lead. We're the ones who got that little. We carved out that little chance, and fantastic ball into the box by Gareth Barry, and a brilliant header by Seamus Coleman. And I think once that goal went in, that settled us down. It upset Arsenal, upset their game plan. A lot of their players might have thought, "Oh, here we go again," and that settled us in for the rest of the half.
Yeah, you don't really expect your right back to get onto a ball from your center mid into the about 6-yard box back post very often, but it was a beautifully weighted ball by Barry, and what a run by Coleman, just perfectly timed, onside by like 3 yards whenever it was kicked, and just put it past Chesney, and 1-0 we're up.
Yeah, and we've got a tendency of when we take free kicks, we take them quite short from that kind of distance. Remembering it was a foul on McCarthy, and he played outside to Baines. Baines plays one of those nice cut balls back to Barry, and by that time the angle's changed, and you haven't got a box full of Arsenal players. You've got players giving movements, and the ball went in at a great angle. It was just too high for Lukaku, but
just far enough out that Chesney can't commit to it.
Yeah, and at an angle that the Arsenal players, it avoids a lot of their defence, and it comes in with good pace, but the speed, Seamus Coleman comes in and meets it, and fair play to him, because he has got Lukaku in front of him, and it's very easy in that situation to take your eye off the ball, but he didn't take his eye off the ball at all. And again, you're taught in that position to head the ball down to try and beat the keeper, but he sort of he put it in the roof of the net, because he obviously thought that the power that was on the ball was sufficient, that there was nothing Chesney could have done unless it had been really hit at him. So it was a fantastic goal, and as I say, it settled us down and it settled the crowd down, and from then on, you got the feeling that we were going to go on and win it.
Yeah, definitely. It just it felt like the match 4 months previous had never really stopped. It just kept on going, and getting that goal early was really fantastic. The feeling in the pub was great. I would imagine Gladys Streets had limbs and all over the place, and it just felt right to be up on Arsenal.
It just, what it did was it settled people down. I mean, there'd been a few, not nerves, I think, from the week before, but I think there was a feeling that Arsenal were playing well, or coming into the game certainly looking buoyed by the signings and the games they'd played so far, and I think that, as I say, that just settled everyone down, and then Everton got into the rhythm then and kept the ball well, moved the ball, really good on the counter attack, good in possession. There was mistakes. I mean, you can't hide the fact that there were mistakes. I mean, Seamus Coleman, before he scored the goal, nearly allowed Arsenal to score.
Pass into the box, yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, there was a lot of that sort of, especially from players like Coleman, who his first start of the season. Obviously, it's his first start, for a few games after missing a lot of the pre-season. Sometimes it takes 5, 10, 15 minutes for some players to get into a game at this stage of the season. So there was a few mistakes early on, and that goal sort of got them out of our system. And then you started seeing Arsenal panic, and their players start to chase the ball, whereas beforehand they were making our players chase. And the thing about it is, I don't think Arsenal are equipped to chase after the ball. They're fine in possession, but when the ball goes the other way, they're not. But I think we've got a little bit more of a mentality. We learned as a team how to play the other side of the game before we learned how to play the passing style. And I think it's very hard to learn the dirty side of the game after you've learned the pretty side. But when you've done it the other way around, I think it's a lot easier. So we went through the half. We seemed quite comfortable. Yes, there was a few long shots. There was, certainly Arsenal had spells of possession, but we felt
Yeah,
quite
good tackle
quite comfortable.
by Baines. Um, could have done without that getting booked in like the 28th minute. Um, but what a way to end the first half.
Yeah, I mean, again, some counter attacks. You're talking about some of Arsenal trying to come onto us, and Jagielka just plays a ball out. I mean, he's just hitting it into space really. Lukaku does brilliantly to hold off Mertesacker. I mean,
Yeah,
I knew as soon as he did it that Arsene Wenger would try and use that as an excuse that it was a foul. No, I never really thought it was a foul. I just thought he turned him. He just used his strength and turned him. And once he was running with the ball, that's what Lukaku's all about. That's but when
I
we
thought he was
think
going
back
to
to the World
forget it
Cup,
for a second there. I thought he was going to leave it and lose it, but he managed to keep possession of it. He's almost
when
going.
you think back to the World Cup, yeah, when you think back to the World Cup and you think, he had a couple of rough games there for Belgium because you never really seen him get the ball like that and run at people. And then, when he did get the goal, I mean, when he played against the USA and, you could see.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me, Pat.
Well, I'm sorry, but this is not about the
How did
USA.
England do?
Okay, that's
Exactly.
how England did. But once he gets that ball, he's running at people. He's a different animal. He's a completely different beast to when he has to play to his back to goal, and he run. And I think what was great this time was we've seen in last season we've seen Carbon Copy picking up the ball going down the right, coming
Yeah.
in and smashing it in. But he used his brain. He used his brain to and fair play to him, and fair play to Stephen Naismith for making such a
And
good.
fair play to the linesman for not calling him offsides.
Well, it was a good spot. He was onside by a millimeter, and
Maybe.
he Naismith does what all good strikers do: puts his head down and shoots. The goal doesn't move. It's as simple as that. The goal doesn't move, and he got his head down, so to keep the ball down. And again, Chesney's got absolutely no chance. And we're 2-0 up. We're going into the half. We're comfortable. The players look comfortable in possession. They look comfortable on the counter attack. We've got the best of them again. We're 2-0 up at half time, and you just think, keep everything going the way it's going, and we should be fine.
Yeah. Just to touch on the Lukaku, to get your head up and make that pass really just says a lot about his mentality and how much he's bought into what Roberto Martinez wants and needs out of players here at Everton. If he was the center forward, the striker, the man, then I could see in many situations where the striker in that situation will take it on his own all the time, every time, and never look to lay the ball off. But to lay the ball off in that situation is just pure unselfish team play to set up one of your teammates to have a chance that is so clean cut in that situation whenever it's not expected. And that's probably why it worked, is that everybody expected him to keep his head down, keep the ball at his foot, and take a shot once he got within a couple more steps. So
And it was
fair play
smart.
to Lukaku
Yeah.
on that.
And it was smart play as well, away
Absolutely.
because as we mentioned on last week's show, Lukaku did pick up an injury last week. He did get injured in training. Roberto Martinez mentioned it after the game.
Whatever.
He did get a little knock, and it was smart play because he's thinking of the team in that way, and he's come back in both games, and he's held the ball up really well. He's in the Leicester game we've seen that he kept the ball really well when he was probably struggling for fitness, and he used his brain. He is an intelligent footballer. No matter what anyone thinks, it's not all strength and power and pace. He's an intelligent footballer. I think that's why Roberto Martinez wanted him so much because intelligent footballers keep getting better. They keep learning. It's the same as being, if you're an intelligent person, in your studies. If you're an intelligent footballer, you will keep learning, and that's what he's doing. And when you see a goal like that, it goes to prove that there's a lot more to his game than just what we saw last season. So but so unselfish, really unselfish play. And when you've got a player like Naismith up front with you who makes those kind of runs and who's finishing like that, then you can afford to just give the ball away, to lay the ball off like that, knowing that you've got confidence in your strike partner to put her away.
Yeah, when you got the Scottish Messi, it's always fun to just lay the ball off him and see what he does.
Of course, the White Panther.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Do we have to talk about the second half?
We can talk about
Rainbows and butterflies, and
we can talk about why what it happened.
We fell asleep on a couple of occasions, flat-footed, didn't close down, and allowed it to happen.
Well, they've made a couple of changes at halftime. They brought Giroud on, and he almost made an instant impact by putting that volley over the bar. And really, that should have been the sign. I mean, he probably,
that should have been a wake-up call right then and there.
Yeah, I don't really like the expression, but he probably did hit it too well. If he'd it scuffed it off his boot, it might have gone in. And
you mean pull a Coleman?
Yes. For 20 minutes after that, you're going to be under pressure, and it wasn't sustained pressure, and we coped with what came at us. But then, obviously, as the half went on, you started to see us drop off, and I think it started at the front because Lukaku was still making a nuisance of himself. He'd got one-on-one with Mertesacker a couple of times. But when he got to the box, he just sort of run out of steam, and as the half went on, that was becoming more increasing, and he was trying to lay the ball off, and it wasn't happening, and things were coming short, and there was one where Naismith got the ball and he put it over, and things were just starting to unwind a little bit, and we were starting to go deeper and deeper into our own half because we just didn't have that outlet, and obviously Lukaku went off, and you just seen as not penned back, but Arsenal just started to pick up more and more possession, and I think what effect that had was that because there was no outlet for the defence, it was probably those players looked physically tired, but I'm sure they were a little bit mentally tired as well, and the idea of the ball coming back at them all the time and having to keep those wits all the time, that can be hard. That can lead to little moments of lack of concentration, and that's what happened.
Yeah, there was just I mean, it's hard to point out one. It's not really hard to point out one person, but I don't know if it's necessarily fair to point out one person, but multiple times you see Distin literally just flat-footed. There's no bounce in his step. There's no head on a swivel. And he gets beat for the first goal.
Well, I mean, the first goal has got many problems. I mean, you can't just say it's one person's fault because it's 3 or 4 people's fault. I mean, you look at Coleman on the edge of the box. He allows Santi Cazorla to get in the box, and I think that's a big no-no.
Definitely.
I'm very critical of how many crosses we allow in the box. We've allowed crosses in since Moyes' days, and anyone who's listening to this podcast will, I've said it for a while. We allow far too many crosses to come in the box. We've got this attitude that we'll allow it to come in the box because we'll deal with it, and almost by letting it get in the box, it's a simpler way of dealing with it. Well, we allow it too much, and we allow players to run into the box as well. And what that does is that just automatically stops your ability to put a tackle in. Because, there's so many smart footballers out there now, and they see a tackle coming in the box, they're going over. You do that outside the box, you give away a foul, and, you don't want to give away a foul, but it's the lesser of two evils, isn't it? So he allows the player to come in. The player just puts an easy ball across, which isn't stopped. Now, if anyone's tracked Ramsey's run, Ramsey runs from the outside of the box. When he runs, he's got Osman in front of him in the box. Osman just lets him run past him. Doesn't even see him.
Right.
There's a tiredness there.
Yeah.
Baines doesn't even spot the run, and Distan and Jagielka are too focused on the ball coming across. Everyone switches off. Ramsey stays alive, and he gets his reward for it. And really, it's a simple tapping, but it's the fact that Ramsey has to run through 4 players to get a simple tapping. When really, if you think about it, if those 4 players had just created a barrier, it wouldn't have been a foul. It would have just been defending.
Right.
Would have happened, and that was the first sign. Well, that was the sign that the players looked really, really jaded, and mentally they just were switched off to it. And not long after that, Morales went off as well. So
Yep.
the outlets suddenly become Atsu and McGeady. And, McGeady was just giving the ball away all the time. Every time he had it, he was giving the ball away. And
Yeah.
there was an air of, desperation is probably the wrong word, but there was just a feeling that went around the ground that you sort of felt these are going to get a goal because the momentum was in their favour. They did score on the 83rd minute, but there was the momentum was just completely shifted, and you just felt if these keep coming at us, they'll get that equaliser.
Yeah, and they do right at the 90th minute, and it's just gut wrenching. It's horrible. It's a second match to where we lose it within the last 5 minutes or less. 2 more points dropped. It's just what it is.
Well, again, what annoys me about this one is we've got the ball in their half, and not only have we got the ball, we've got a free kick in the other, which could have been taken as a shot. It was a good distance, but the players have obviously decided no, let's keep the ball. But it was the man of the way. They kept the ball. They played the ball very, very short in a small area, where all the Arsenal players were on top of the Everton players. And yes, there was 3 or 4 really nice touches. And then Leon Osman, I think, played a short ball, and we give the ball away. But in that situation, you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, if you don't want to have a shot, then why not whip it out to the right-hand side? Get Coleman involved on the right-hand side.
Put it in the corner.
Get him in the corner. Yeah, but get him in the opposite corner. So not only have the Arsenal players got to go and get it off Coleman, they've got to go out to Coleman to get the ball, just wasting those valuable seconds. Or even go backwards to your centre-backs and make the Arsenal players turn and run doing 10, 15 yards the other way. And then Distan can pump a ball in the corner, and it all wastes valuable time. But what we did was we tried to keep the ball in a very small area, and I couldn't understand the rationale of that. So we lose the ball. The next minute we're turned because we've committed those players.
Mm-hmm.
The ball gets crossed into the area. It goes like it's going for the corner flag. Monreal catches it and just throws a ball in the box. And Jagielka and Distan just are completely flat-footed. Jagielka either just misreads the flight or just can't get it, just can't jump high enough to head it. Distan just completely doesn't see that because he's expecting Jagielka to head it away.
Yeah.
Now, yes, Giroud's got a handful of Distan's share, but Distan's a big lad. And really should be doing more there to put him off. Should be just getting his body in the way of it. If he can't reach the ball, he should just be getting his head his body in the way to make sure Giroud can't do anything with it. It's a really good header by Giroud. Fair play to him.
Oh yeah.
But massively disappointed that we've conceded a goal like that. And as we just mentioned, it starts with us having a free kick on the edge of Arsenal's box, and that's the real disappointing part of that goal.
Like I said, 2 more points drop. We've got 2 points after 2 matches. Both matches we were up going into the 84th minute. And so, yeah, it's just not kind to Everton at the end of these first two matches. But we just have to, lace them back up and move on.
Yeah, and of course the question is going to be, are the players in the right condition? Have they been in the right condition in the last 2 games? It doesn't appear so. I mean, but that's just an outsider's point of view, and you've got to look at all the facts regarding conditioning and what Roberto Martinez wants from his players. And if anyone's looked at the calendar for September and
September.
October,
It's nuts.
it's nuts. And it do,
Yeah.
and we mentioned this a couple of shows back. It doesn't stop. It
No.
really doesn't stop. It's now just like 2 games a week for the next 3 months,
Yeah, it's not like
4
we're Man
months.
United and we get like 2 weeks between matches coming up here pretty soon. So
Yeah, and there's no I know we'll talk about the Europa and the Capital One Cup as we go on in the show,
Yep.
but it really doesn't stop now, and maybe that's Roberto Martinez's master plan in getting these players fit and conditioned for the rest of the season.
yeah, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
If anyone is watching via the YouTube stream live, don't forget to use the question and answers.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
We can take questions and give answers if so be
We
it.
can actually ask questions and get answers too.
But we'd rather take questions and give answers
Yeah, because it's our show.
That makes it easier because
We
then
don't want to know what you think. We just want to know what you want us to tell you. If we wanted your opinion, we'll give you ours.
if we wanted your opinion, we'd listen to your podcast.
Yeah.
No, so if anyone's got any questions, just feel free, or just sit back and enjoy the show.
There's a nice little Q&A app. It works pretty good. Don't leave comments on the live feed. We're not watching our own live feed while we're recording the live feed. So
Yeah, man.
that would be just way too What the heck are you doing over there?
I'm getting myself positioned in a more comfortable position than I'm in a better position. Right.
That's what he said.
Let's do this thing. Got a draw to get up for.
Yeah. All right, we're back on Followtonians, brought to you by Apsiz Services Ltd. And so, new signing? We got like.
Why did you just say that like Ron Burgundy? New signing?
Stay classy, Ped.
I always do, Eric. Well, who could have seen this one coming?
Samuel Eto'o.
Up and coming young Cameroon international. I believe he's been on the.
He's no longer a Cameroonian international.
I believe he's been on the books of some clubs.
A couple of clubs that we've
in Europe that you may have heard of.
May have lifted a few pieces of silverware along the way.
But I don't care because I mean, yes, it's great that he has lifted a couple of pieces of silverware.
It's just a mentality.
It is a mentality, but I don't like this when people clubs sign players and highlight everything they've won at a different club. That to me is like living off someone else's success, and I don't quite get that. But I'm happy that he does have that winning mentality because it means he's a good player. But I'm delighted. It's a strange one. I got wind of this a week or so ago, but it was all up in the air because other clubs involved. Liverpool were sniffing around them as well, and obviously they had got the whole Balotelli thing. He had offers,
yes.
but it was a genuine interest. That was the point. It was a genuine interest. We'd made a genuine offer, and it was there on a table. But obviously, you got a player like Eto'o. He's got different opportunities, and obviously he didn't have to wait. He didn't have to jump in. He could wait. He could take his time if he wanted to. But obviously,
right.
Obviously, maybe I don't know. Maybe the whole Chelsea game maybe speeded up his plans. But at first, I was obviously put off because there was a lot of talk about what he wanted financially. plus £100,000.
Right, which
Lots of
doesn't fit into our wage structure at all.
no, no. And people were talking about that and saying, we can't, because obviously you can't afford it. But it's rumored, or I'm sure it's the truth, that his wages are probably half of that, and
Yeah, 55, 60.
maybe there's bonuses related to how many games he plays, and
How we finish, and
yeah, of course. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of little things in there, but the main thing is, a world class striker who has got
more money than he knows what to do with.
well, that's that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say he's got stats of still 1 in 2. Even last season at
Yeah,
Chelsea,
ratio, yeah.
his ratio was fantastic. He played just over 20 games, scored goals against Manchester United, scored goals against Arsenal, scored goals against Liverpool. Was at long periods of the season first choice at Chelsea. Obviously, he had injuries, which you can understand. But this is a guy who's coming in. He's not first choice. He may not even be second choice when Coney comes back. I'm sure he will be. But you know
I
what I'm
think he's
saying.
lost in the desert on a camel somewhere, but
I'm sure he is. But the point is that this is a guy who's coming in, and it's not like 5 or 6 years ago when you sign a player and he suddenly is, the first choice player and he's 33. This is a guy who's going to come in. He's going to play. He's going to play at times. He's going to come off the bench. He's going to start some games. He's going to be an incredible role model for players like Romelu Lukaku to learn off.
Naismith might be able to teach him a thing or two.
Well, of course, Naismith, I'm sure he'll show Eto'o how to finish. But he made headlines. When he signed, it made genuine headlines, and that's brilliant that you sign a player that can come in and create headlines around the world.
Some of the quotes from press conferences just, I mean, he says he could have gone quite a few places, but to get the backing of the manager and the idea of Everton matching his ambition and what he's wanting to accomplish in this phase of his career, and thinking that Everton is the best place for him to be able to see additional success. It just bodes to a complete change in mentality to what we're used to from the club, and there's no way 2 years ago we're able to sign a player like Eto'o or Lukaku or get Barry in on a free, because the ambition, the drive, the level, the amount of just hope and desire is not there 2 years ago.
Well, you go back 12 months, and if you go back even to this Chelsea game 12 months ago, and the starting strikers were Naismith and Jelavic. Now, at the time, we all
were hoping that Jelavic was going to come good,
and not many of us thought that Naismith was up to much. And we went into that West Ham game last season. We just got Lukaku. And they, I think, Naismith and Jelavic were taken off at half time because they stunk the place out. And now you just think we've got Eto'o, we've got Lukaku permanently, and we've got a Naismith that's in the form of his life, and it's just incredible, a turnaround. And even going back, you think about it, and people are saying, "Oh, our strikers this season are going to be Velios and Kone." People were saying that in the summer. Never mind, last season, or people were genuinely thinking, well, our strikers are going to be Naismith, Kone, and Velios, and my guy Gay.
Right.
So
now Naismith is not a bad word, and we've got Lukaku permanently, and we've got Eto'o in there, and Kone is somewhere, like I said, in Nairobi on a camel or something, but. He'll be back someday, maybe, right?
I'm sure. I'm sure that he's not that far off. I just think Roberto Martinez is just being
waiting until he turns 40.
I think he's just been very, very protective of him and just making sure that
Well, he is our
he.
number 9, so I could see why.
Oh, oh no, no. Well, I mean, that was going to be my next thing. I wanted to talk about the whole numbers thing because
They mean jack
obviously,
squat to anybody anymore,
oh, he's been
except
given
for
the
the
number.
band.
He's
Number
been given
5.
the number five, I'm
Is he half as
devastated.
good as Lukaku? Is that what he is,
I'm
or
devastated by that. Number five, I know it's only a number, and no squad numbers have become to mean less and less, but um, that's number five. Come on, that's a centre back's number. Come on, I would have preferred that they give him like number 99 or something, because normally everywhere he goes, he has a 9 in his number. He had
should
39.
have been like 100? That would have been
He
sweet.
had,
3 digits.
yeah, he's at 29. I think. Oh, I wish he just said, right, I want 99. I know it's not conventional. I know would have put some of the old-fashioned people off, but number five for a striker, no, just it annoys me. It annoys me,
I know.
especially
I know it does. That's why I brought it up.
especially especially when our number five has played like our number nine has played about 3 games, and it really, really, really bugs me. I really hope that he has a good season and then he gets a number 9 shirt next season.
Or yeah, something. But 5 is alive for Everton.
Mm.
It's
It's
just
it's
not
just
just not Johnny anymore. It's
no.
Sammy.
It's fantastic. It's just a really good signing, a really really good signing, and a lot of, as we've mentioned, there was a lot of interest for him. I'm sure he could have gone to a lot more glamorous places for a lot more money. So um,
Yeah, but he
he's
thinks
obviously
Everton is in Goodison is the place that he wants to be. So
well, he's obviously bought into to whatever Roberto Martinez has told him. Roberto Martinez obviously spoke to him at length about what his vision is and what his vision is for the player, and that seems to be the thing. Get you in a room with Roberto Martinez, and the guy
you
will
can't say no. Yeah, he
yeah
just can close. He closes.
yeah. It's a fantastic mentality, and listen, we're not Moyes haters, we're not Moyes beaters, we're not someone who wants to sort of rewrite history, but I don't think David Moyes would have ever, and I know it's completely different. I know we're 12 months down the line, but I don't think
I
18
don't think
months
Moyes
ago.
had Eto's agent's number.
Well, there you go.
I don't even think he would have known how to get a hold of him.
I don't think.
And that's just what it is. Moyes did what he could while he was at Everton, and we can't do anything but thank him for his time. There's no reason to go in and bash him. It's just a different. It's
No.
just different.
It's the whole club. I just don't think 18 months ago the club would have been prepared to give a 2-year contract to a 33-year-old. Never mind one. He's give a 3-year contract
Right, and
to a
it's not
30.
even a keeper. It's a striker.
I know, and there was always a rule under Moyes that anyone over 30 would only get a contract of a year. That was basically his rule. I think he
Right.
might have. I think he broke it for Neville, but that was his rule. Where he fell out with Stubbs because he wanted 2 years. Stubbs wanted 2 years, and he would only give him a year. That's why Stubbs went to Sunderland. Um, that was his thing. He wasn't prepared to take risks on players over 30. So it just shows there's a completely different mindset. And long may it continue, because you just feel like anytime there's a player on the market and Everton can match the financial ambitions of
Yeah.
the player or the club that he's signing from, you always feel like you've got a chance. And good players make a good team. It's as simple as that.
Well, Quebec's got to be happy because they had an extra surpluses of fives and apostrophes, so that they can get rid of those now.
Yeah, they had loads of apostrophes.
Yeah, so that's happy days for Kitbag.
But the interesting thing is, it's we're going into this Chelsea game. We've got a player who played for Chelsea last season in Samuel Eto'o, who had some falling outs with Jose Mourinho. About Jose
The
Mourinho
special
obviously
one.
made some references to his age. I mean, I'm sure it was all psychology. So you've got one striker there who's dying to play against his old club, and then you've got Romelu Lukaku, who again wants to prove Jose Mourinho wrong. And you've got them both this weekend looking to go in against Chelsea and be big and do something big.
Yeah, well, last year this match came fourth on the schedule for us, and going into it, we had 3 draws, hadn't won yet. Into Goodison against Chelsea, and a goal by Stephen Naismith sees us get our first victory last season, and so we're kind of in that same situation. Instead of 3 draws, we've only gotten 2, and Chelsea come in, and this year Lukaku can actually play for us because we own him, and it's quite amazing. Atsu will be not available, as you can imagine, since he is technically a Chelsea player still, but
for now.
Right. Next year, well, he'll be ours, I guess. That's how it works. So we're playing the Everton feeder squad against the Toffees at Goodison, and you've got to think that, as you mentioned, the 2 strikers are definitely going to be up for this.
I'm sure the 2 strikers are going to be well up for it, and I'm sure everyone's going to be up for it. I'm sure Lukaku, hopefully, if he's fit to play, will be, dying to get a goal, and I'm not exactly sure how
Chelsea
the
doesn't
injury
like
is.
Naismith. I know that.
No, but we don't know how, if Lukaku's trained that much this week. Obviously, you just mentioned Naismith's got a really good record. He scored, I think, 2 in his last 3 against them. He's got a decent record against them, and he's got a decent record anyway at the moment. I think he scored 5 in his last 10. So he's got a 1 and 2. Eto'o coming off the bench. Again, we don't know what condition he's in, but Morales is a week fitter. Everyone's a week fitter, and this is a really important.
Pienaar is not a week fitter.
Pienaar is out and he's got a groin strain. I'm not sure when he's going to be back, but
but for them, Diego Costa's got a hamstring. He's not playing as far as.
But we don't know that. We don't know that yet fully. I mean, the first reports where he's out and he's out for 6 weeks, and then the club have sort of said, well, no, actually, it's not as bad as we first feared. But with his injury record, especially at the back end of last season, you would think that maybe he is out. And then if he is out, then they've only got Drogba and Torres to call from as actual strikers. I mean, we say only, but But they have got a lot of midfield players and a lot of really good attacking midfield players, and they've also got Shearer, who's he's a really good player who scores goals.
Yeah, Hazard looked pretty good at the end of the match last week for them.
But what Shearer does really well is he wears teams down for an hour, and then you can put on a Drogba. So we've got to be. You can't just say just because Costa might not be playing that we can relax. This is going to be a very, very tough game. Chelsea, for me, I think are favourites for the league this season just because of the players they've bought. We know how Mourinho likes to play. He's very. He keeps things very tight, and even if they take a lead, they don't go gung ho. They sort of sometimes lure you into a false sense of security, and then go after a second goal. They're not the most over attacking team in the world. So it's very important we try and get that first goal and then see what we can do. But I talk about pivotal games, and I think to myself, well, this one. It's the one before an international weekend, a couple of weeks break for some players, or even it's not even a break. Actually, you got to look at it the other way. You think players can go away, play for their international teams, and it's almost like they can get fit, but it's not on our heads. Do you know what I mean? They can get fit for their international team, but it doesn't affect us. But they're getting fit for us for when they come back against West Brom.
Yeah, Tim Howard's not in the mix for the U.S., and Eto'o has announced his international retirement from Cameroon. So, yeah.
But Lukaku and Morelos will be going away. Stones, Jagielka, Baines,
Coleman,
McCarthy, Coleman, Gibson, Duffy,
Naismith,
McGeady, Naismith. They're all on international duty.
Yeah, there's quite a large list of internationals, which is, again, a list that long.
And I don't mind it. I don't mind it this time of year because I think games are what you actually need at this time of year. I think you need games under your belt. But,
so this Chelsea match, what's your gut tell you?
I just got a feeling that I've got a feeling that it'll be a very close affair. Um, and it'll be a goal either way, really. I really feel like that. I mean, it would be great to sit here and go, oh, we can do them, and we're better than them. But this is a very, very good Chelsea side. I mean, I
Sure.
do generally think. But
Courtois
we beat them.
is fantastic keeper.
Yeah, we beat them last season at Goodison. We were really good against them at Stamford Bridge as well. Do you know what? We've played well in the first two games. We've just fell short with, as you've mentioned, within the last 5 minutes.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
it's going to be a real test of energy, and that's what we're going to have to put into it. So I'm hoping, of course I'm hoping we get the 3 points, but it is going to be very fine margins.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can win. It's just a matter of us putting in the entire shift. Full 90's got to be heads on a swivel, on your toes. Can't let anything just get past us.
Mm. It's a big game, big
Big
game.
game, absolutely, very big game. Another couple of events to talk about. League Cup draw was recently, and we were drawn away to Swans. So that's a big third round match.
It is, yeah, and again, we're going to talk about upcoming games and the schedule, and that's a big game because it, we're right in the mix there. We've got big games coming up, and I mentioned the fact that we've got, I think, we've got coming up obviously in the next month. We've got West Brom. We've got a Europa League game. We've got Crystal Palace at home. We've
Yep.
got Swansea. Then we've got Liverpool on the Saturday. And then we've got there's a potential that three of those four games could be away. And then we've got Europa League games again, and Manchester United away in October, and
Yeah, no one cares about that one.
it's really, really hectic from now on, as we've mentioned, and it can be really. This is it. Once this game goes and this break finishes, we're non-stop, and we're gonna need to use the whole squad, and it's just a shame that it's a Premier League team, so I'm not sure how Martinez will prepare for it. I mean, obviously we're weeks away from that, so we'll have to see
Right.
where the land lies at the time. But you sort of just think, wow, couldn't we have got like a lower league team and just
Like an MK Dons, they're horrible.
just got through it almost.
They just barely got past.
Well, that I suppose in a way, listen, I suppose in a way, Swansea might be thinking we're not too bothered, but then then you think, well, maybe this will be a trophy they will go for. So it's going to be a tough one, but we'll deal with that when we come to it.
Yeah, less pressure with it being away.
Not really, because we're going to have a lot of away games, and it's
We're
not
gonna
the
have some
easiest place.
very far away games, as we'll talk about in a little bit.
It's not the easiest place to get to either, Swansea, and travel does affect players, and that that's another thing. It's away, but it's not a straightforward away. It's not, so it could have been done. Been done without it, but this is what, if you want to be a good team, you want to be a successful team, you've got to play a lot of games. You've got to have a squad for a lot of games, and you've got to be prepared to have faith in the players that you've got in your squad to move it around as well. So therefore, you've got to buy players that you believe in. And again, that's something else that Roberto Martinez will say to players when he brings them in. We always say, or people always say, oh, what's your best 11? What's your best 11? There's no such thing as a best 11 anymore. It's horses for courses. It's whatever suits on the day. And as we've seen already, injuries can tot up very, very quickly. You've got to have a squad. And hopefully once this game goes and the window shuts and we have that week off, we'll start to see some of the players coming back. Oviedo, hopefully Kone. Barkley will be a couple of weeks closer to coming back.
Yep.
All those little things. Pinar obviously coming back
Gibson.
as well. Yeah, Gibson's not far off as well. So,
Yep.
all these things.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to put in someone that was a steady first choice player, and be able to have that luxury as using them in cups and maybe some away Europa matches against lower class teams. Then it's getting to be more of a club to where we can go after multiple competitions at the same time.
And I think we heard Roberto Martinez say at the beginning of the season that there would be times when he was going to pick a team for the Europa League game, and the game for a Sunday might be completely different. And in fact, he might leave several key players behind to get rest and recuperation for those Sunday games.
Sure.
And it's the thing about. I mean, we'll move on to the Europa League now, and
we will. Yes.
One thing about the Europa League is, I mean, obviously, there's no difference between playing a Wednesday in the Champions League and a Saturday in the Premier League than it is to play on a Thursday. And then a Sunday, but the two major differences are that obviously in the Europa League you do tend to get a lot more teams from the old Eastern Bloc,
from randoms.
You get a lot of like these Eastern European countries that don't have as many teams going in the Champions League, so they have more teams in the Europa League, or they just have sort of a lower level, so they are more likely to go into the Europa League. But they also don't have the facilities. So you get to these countries and they might not have the greatest hotels in the world. The training facilities might be the greatest in the world. The stadiums might
not be the greatest.
Exactly. The stadiums might be the best place in the world, and everything's hard work and everything's a slog. Where if you're in the Champions League, everything's first class. The grounds are always immaculate. The pitches are always immaculate generally. So, from that point of view, that's why it's different. Playing in the Europa League.
We'll probably draw Dynamo Kiev, Trabzonspor, and Karabakh. That would be fantastic.
we can't have Russians and Ukrainians in our that can't happen. But we've just had a question off Matty John, so it's not even a question. He's just saying, just been on the Lille, Celtic and Seville forums, and our name keeps popping up as a team they do not want to play down to our attacking football. So what? I mean, I know we've been making a lot about that. We're in pot 3, and we nearly got into pot 2. We missed out by 1 result, I believe. We're top of pot 3.
We are the best team in the third pot. Woohoo!
But you look at teams in the first 2 pots, and you think, we're generally better. I think we actually...
Yes, you look at some of the teams in the first 2 pots, but, Ped, you know our luck. There's no way we're going to get drawn with, like, a Sporting Prague. Or Sparta Prague. It's not going to happen. We're going to end up drawing, like, Wolfsburg.
But I don't mind that, Eric. That's not a problem to me, because at least if you're going to somewhere like Wolfsburg, you're going to a good stadium in a country that's not that far away. I don't have any problem with that.
Is it bad that I want Celtic?
No, I'd love Celtic. I think we destroy Celtic. I wouldn't have any problem. I'd like Celtic. I wouldn't have a problem. I'd like Inter. Inter would be fantastic. I wouldn't want Fiorentina because I think the place is a dump.
I wouldn't want Napoli either.
I wouldn't want Kharkiv. Lille in France, that would do me. I wouldn't mind Lille. That would be a good team to go and play. Red Bull Salzburg, that would be a good play. They've got a nice stadium. PSV, that would be a nice place to go.
Might be a little chilly.
Seville, that would be a hard team. They're a good team. In pot 2, Liège wouldn't be a bad one. Celtic wouldn't be a bad one. Wolfsburg wouldn't be a bad one. Club Brugge wouldn't be a bad one. Borussia Mönchengladbach, that would be a good one. But who you don't want is Dnipro Dnipropetrovsk from Ukraine. You don't want Trabzonspor. You don't want to go to Greece. You don't want to go to Turkey. You don't want to go to Romania. And then in pot 4, you don't want to go to Russia. You don't want to go to Croatia. Lokeren, they do me in Belgium. You don't want to go to Bratislava. You don't want to go to Cyprus. You don't want to go to Azerbaijan. Finland, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to Romania. You don't want to go to Belarus.
Denmark. You don't want to go to anywhere in pot 4, unfortunately.
Well, I wouldn't mind. Denmark's okay. Belgium's okay. But you're always going to get one baddie. You're always going to get one. Croatia's not a bad place.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Finland's not a bad place. But as I say, I would have no problem with one of the decent
God, that
teams.
away match in Finland was going to be not fun.
Yeah. There's teams in pot one and pot two I've got no problem with at all.
I guess I'm just looking at pot two and thinking I'd rather my name be in that group and get a team from pot three.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at pot three and was thinking young boys from Switzerland would have been a decent draw. Zurich, there's two teams from Portugal, there's teams from Italy,
two teams from France.
Yeah, that would have actually been a quite. Actually, I don't think anyone would want most teams in pot three because pot three looks actually like a decent. People will not want us. I know that for a fact.
Oh yeah.
So the odd thing is, we're talking about this now, and this podcast will have been out about 3 hours when the draw is made.
Yeah,
so if you're listening to this podcast now, I will record audio
the results of the draw. Yep, and
I will sync it. I will sync it in. I will sync it into the podcast. We've had another question as well which is sort of
breaking news. Yeah.
Breaking news. We've had another question from Chris. Chris Jones in New York, and he said, "Hey guys, Chris from New York here. As you said, the schedule is nuts over the next few months. If we continue to see struggles at centre-back space, Jags and Distan, are Stones and Alcaraz going to be our only options to give those two a rest? I think they are generally going to be the only two.
Duffy's hanging around?
Well, I mean, I think possibly the next couple of days going to be interesting for the transfer window. I definitely think he wants one more in, and it wouldn't surprise me if he wanted another centre-back. But I think he could actually be willing to lose one of the centre-backs as well, maybe Alcaraz or maybe Duffy, to see another one come in, one that would fit in more with what he wants. So let's wait and see on that. There could definitely be another one come in. But, worst comes to the worst. We've got Barry, we've got Hibbert. I mean, how many centre-backs can you have in your squad? You know what I mean? You can't. He's got faith in them too, and so far I put it down to lack of games that have sort of stopped those two being at the top level. Hopefully, as the season goes along, and as we peak, those two will peak as well. It's important not to have any knee-jerk reactions, but obviously, as we said, we are going to need all our players. I mean, if you're playing a Thursday and you're traveling far, you want to have fresh legs for that Sunday. And especially I think is it about 3 of our games are away following the Europa League games. It might even be more. We seem to have a lot of away games following our Europa League games. So we're going to need every man. Every man's going to have to do a job this season.
I'm in.
So I'm into it. You know what I mean? No, this is what you want. This is what you want. You want to be in Europa League. You want to be in Europe. If you win the Europa League this season, you get in the Champions League. We all know how hard it is to qualify for the Champions League in England, especially because of the amount of money and the amount of good teams. When you look at some of the teams that have actually got in the Champions League from other countries, it's unbelievable. When you look at teams like Malmo, and you think, yes, you deserve to be there because of
Maribor. Yeah.
There's some really, really poor teams.
Yeah. Those two teams that dropped that. Yeah.
Teams that get in whose centre halves playing goal.
Yeah, Ludo Goretz. Yeah, that's what the heck is that about?
I know it's nuts.
That's all right. Liverpool's got to go there.
If we were in any other country, I think we'd get into the Champions League qualifiers into the group without a problem, but then it's sort of chicken and egg. Would we have the money in other countries? So it is what it is. I'm looking forward to. We're gonna have a lot of games coming up in the future, and it's gonna be interesting. One player didn't mention there, obviously centre backs and defenders, is Tyus Browning as well, who could definitely come in and do a job. And he's just signed a 3-year contract this week as well, which is
he could be one for cups or one for away matches in like Slovan Bratislava.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll relish coming in for a game in Eastern Europe.
Maybe you can get a play in Minsk.
I'm just praying that we don't get like games in Russia or the Ukraine, because if you thought that conflict was bad now,
Throw in a couple of Scousers.
wait till we get over there.
Right.
We'd be the peace envoys. Us, we'd get over there and sort it all out.
Right.
But no, it's big times ahead. This is, as we say, this is almost like the calm. We're playing Chelsea, and this is the calm before the storm. We've had Arsenal, now we're playing Chelsea, and then we've got. It doesn't stop.
Madness.
It doesn't stop. It just goes nuts.
And you know what, Ped? We love it.
That's it. Games. What we're gonna, I tell you what, right? We haven't even talked about this through, but normally on an international weekend we don't have a podcast.
Right.
But obviously, Monday night transfer deadline day.
We'll be on.
I say we be on, and
Yeah.
we'll just do a normal podcast, and we'll talk about the Chelsea game, but we'll be keeping our eye on the transfer window and seeing what happens.
Sounds good to me.
I think we've put the nail down there. We've put the marker down. We'll come on. We'll do a normal podcast in the last hour or something of the transfer window, and we'll keep an eye. And if anything's happening, we'll be all over it.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening this week. Yeah, lots going on. Stay tuned to us on Twitter and Facebook, and we'll let you know as soon as something real happens. And we'll talk to you later. Come on, you Blues, let's go. The Everton Blues, not those other rent boys down south.
No robot ped.
Woohoo!
Got through a show without no Robotniks.
There was a little bit of a moment where it got slightly dicey, but I kind of talked over you a little bit, so
okay.
And then it hasn't been lasting nearly as long. Before it was like 4 or 5 minutes. Now it's only like about 10 seconds. So I figure I can talk for at least 10 seconds once in the show.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a spider on the wall, and literally it's stalking me.
Smash it.
It's like one of the ones out of Arachnophobia.
Yeah, smash it.
I can't reach it. I'm just waiting for it to jump on my head.
Yeah.
It's looking at me. Thanks for the question, guys. Questions, guys.
Yes.
And I will add to the podcast tomorrow once the draw has happened.
Yeah, 6 a.m. my time, dude.
Well, stay in bed. It'll happen without me.
I mean, I'll be up heading to work anyways by then, so hopefully they'll carry it on the radio channel I listen to in my car.
Can you get like 5 Live on Sirius?
Yeah, at 6 the original programming from
the
US
they
starts. But so like right as it starts, the original programming will kick over, and they'll probably talk about Manchester United for 35 minutes.
United.
Oh, Robot Ped.
Oh, we'll turn it off then. Turn the stream off.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye guys.